Did you know that around 80% of B2B companies have been burned by a marketing agency at one point in the future? Now, we have heard this from so many companies that we've had calls with over the last few years. So they've been burned by marketing agencies. They're very hesitant to do anything in the future. And I just thought about something there a few moments ago before I made this video. The conversations that we were having was with the marketing team. Now, it was either with a marketing manager or it was with a marketing manager and marketing experts on the team, or whatever it may be, whatever their title was. And it got me thinking, why are people who are employed to do marketing seeking help from other marketing agencies? Shouldn't they be doing it themselves? Well, realistically, what it boils down to is three different things, okay? So for those people who are seeking out the solutions, let's say, it comes down to time, knowledge, and expertise. Now, this is specifically their time, their knowledge, and their expertise, okay? So let's take the assumption it is a marketing manager, okay? Because a lot of marketing managers, especially we've helped a lot of marketing managers in the past, and I never once thought of this. Why are we helping marketing managers when their job is marketing, okay? But realistically, what it comes down to is time, knowledge, and expertise, okay? Now, there's a lot that kind of goes into this, but number one is time. Now, this is by far one of the biggest things that we've heard from people. Well, actually, I suppose it could realistically be broken down to 33.3% of all of these, okay? But one of the biggest things is time. They say, oh, I just don't have the time to do this. You know, I have other things that are on my plate. One thing that we do know for a fact is that, and if you're a marketing manager watching this, or you're involved in marketing at all for a company, this probably is going to resonate with you quite heavily. A lot of the time that you are spending is on something that is not your job, okay? I have heard this so many times that people are dragged away from doing actual marketing to do something else, okay? Something else that's absolutely nothing to do with marketing in the company, or they've been told by someone above them, whether it's a C-suite or whatever, that, oh, we need you to focus on this thing in regards to marketing. And you can easily go back to that person and say, but that's not going to move the needle. But because they read an article that AI is going to do this and we need to do this with AI, you have to do that, okay? Now, a lot of marketing people, especially if they have a boss or a C-suite above them, or even if they have another manager above them, they are absolutely terrified to go back and say, no, that doesn't make sense, because if we actually look at what's happening and here's the data on it, we shouldn't be focusing on that, we should be focusing on this, okay? Most people are terrified to do that because, again, there's fear of losing your job. And if you lose your job, you can't have money. If you don't have money, you can't pay your bills. And if you don't pay your bills, you can't pay your mortgage. And if you can't pay your mortgage, your house is going to be taken away from you and you're going to be homeless, okay? I know that was a bit of a spiral, but this is what goes on in people's heads, okay? Subconsciously, this is what goes on in people's heads. This is why people will not stand up to someone who is above them in regards to the ranking of the company, okay? Because they don't want to come across as argumentative, and they don't want to come across as a know-it-all, even though that's what you were hired for, okay? So it's a really, really odd one that so many people just will not kind of say, no, I'm not doing that because I don't have the time. What it then essentially boils down to is, well, look, I don't have the time for this. We're not going to hire somebody else because whatever decision the C-suite's made, we're not going to hire someone else for marketing. So what we need to do is we need to seek some external advice from a third party and get them to do it for us, okay? Now look, don't get me wrong, that's made us a lot of money in the past. It works out to our benefit. All these kind of things work out for marketing agencies, don't get me wrong. But like, now that we're not a marketing agency anymore, and if you want to figure out what we actually do for companies, you can check out the first link in the description, but we are absolutely not an agency anymore, because we realized as well that we can help people solve all of these things, okay? So that they never are burned by a marketing agency ever again. So time is absolutely one of the biggest ones, but it's not realistic time, because if you were to actually put aside the time that you needed to do the jobs that you needed, whether it was outreach or whether it was inbound or whether it was running ads, whatever it might be, okay? Typically for a lot of marketing managers and people who are in marketing positions in companies, their time is absolutely stripped away from them because they're told to do this and that and everything else that's not actually going to move the needle, okay? So what I would highly recommend is to take an audit of your time over a week or a month or whatever it might be and see, well, what am I actually spending my time on? You should then have the confidence to go back to whoever is above you and say, look, the reason we're not getting the results that you want to get is because this is what you had me doing. This didn't move the needle. I couldn't do this. I only had 45 minutes and I stayed late to do those 45 minutes so that we could do XYZ, okay? So again, don't be afraid to have that conversation. That person who's in the C-suite or whoever is above you, they should respect you, because what you're trying to do is earn them more revenue by getting more qualified leads into the pipeline. Again, you make sure that you say to them in that particular way that, like, this is not so that you have a handier job every single day when you sit down at your desk for marketing. It's so that they are able to hit their KPIs, because their KPIs are different to yours, and you need to understand this when you're speaking to other departments in the organization. So again, you are probably KPI'd on how many leads you get, okay? It may not even be qualified leads, it may just be leads in general, okay? The sales, they are KPI'd on, well, how many of those calls did you close, okay? The C-suites, they're KPI'd on, well, what's the revenue of the company? Did we go up or did we go down, okay? Do we have shareholders that want to see us grow or whatever it is, blah, 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 okay? So again, you have to understand that what you're trying to achieve is not the same as what everyone else is trying to achieve, even though technically it is. But again, you have to understand all this stuff when you're having these conversations. So this lack of time realistically doesn't exist. It's just your time is being spent somewhere else that it is not moving the needle, okay? So if you had the time, even just an hour a day that you can carve out by eliminating all of the what we call time suckers, then you could absolutely 100% do what you need to do without an agency. Hands down, no problem whatsoever, okay? So let's move on to the next one then, which is knowledge. And this is another reason why a lot of people don't want to do it themselves, and they feel they need to seek out an agency, okay? Now, don't get me wrong, marketing agencies, yes, they have most of them. Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to say most of them. I'm going to say the minority of them. They would have knowledge and they would have expertise, okay? We're specifically talking about B2B here. It's very, very difficult to find a good marketing agency who is specialized in B2B that knows what they're doing, okay? So in regards to then knowledge, when most people are actually tasked to do something, whether it is outreach, whether it is inbound, whether it is ads, whatever, okay, it doesn't actually matter. When they actually look into how to run a successful campaign, they're very overwhelmed, okay? The reason for this is for something called the Dunning-Kruger effect, okay? Now I'm going to actually flip this around so I can show you what that basically means. Now, look, I'm not calling out anyone specifically here, but I have seen this a lot in the past, okay? Even with people that we've helped, okay? What tends to happen is that people have, they go to college, university, whatever you call it, no matter where you are in the world, and basically they do a 3-4 year course and they get a piece of paper that says that Jane Doe is now certified or has a degree in marketing, okay? Look, this is a whole topic for another day, but realistically that's not really how it works, okay? You don't leave college with those expertise. For most people, what you're learning in college, if you're doing marketing, or university, if you're doing marketing, whatever it is, okay? You're learning a lot of theory, okay? And from what I've heard from a lot of people, a lot of it is especially very outdated, because again, this moves so fast year after year after year, okay? Again, I'm sure I can probably make the assumption that a lot of marketing courses in college and universities aren't talking about AI, they're not talking about automations, they're not talking about system implementation. I'm sure they're talking about the theory, and they're probably going way back to, this is how advertising looked in the 1950s. And if you can see from the poster that Ford put out, they put this car and they said Model T, blah, 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 whatever it is, okay? I know Model T is not 1950s, I'm just giving a mad example, okay? But the point I'm making here is that people then, when they leave college and university, they suffer from the Dunning-Kruger effect, okay? So basically the Dunning-Kruger effect, it's kind of on a graph, and this graph essentially represents your knowledge, okay? Or what you think is your knowledge. So essentially, the way this graph goes is that you're in college. Don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you're in college. You go, wow, I'm learning new things every day. This is great. This is fantastic. Perfect. And then you leave college, okay? So this is the point where you leave college. This is where then it goes from learning to implementation. This is where you now need to implement what you've learned, okay? So you then go and get a job at a software company or some sort of B2B company, and because of how society works, you're interviewed by, let's say that you're getting a job to be, again, in this case, a marketing executive, okay? and the marketing manager is interviewing you. And the marketing manager looks at your CV and says, oh yeah, you have a degree in this, and I saw you did some work experience in this particular place. And well, yeah, if you went to college, you've got that piece of paper. That piece of paper means that you are automatically eligible for this job, okay? Because that's just how it works, okay? Realistically, it shouldn't. Logically, that's not how it should work, but that's how it works, okay? So what happens then with the Dunning-Kruger effect is you go from learning to implementation. And in regards to implementation, you kind of go, oh, I don't really know what I'm doing. Sorry, I have to implement ads. And sorry, what do you mean match types in the ads? And I never learned anything about that in college and university. And oh, hang on a second, this is, I need to essentially relearn all this. And that's what happens, okay? When you get to the implementation stage of what's realistic in life, you then are humbled and go, oh crap, I really don't know what I was talking about here, okay? Again, the degree that you have here, for most marketing degrees, it's not going to help you in the real world, okay? Because again, you're learning a lot of theory here. When it comes to implementation, you're absolutely plateauing, and then you go, crap, I need to actually learn how to implement all this. This is real life now, okay? You are absolutely humbled. You come back down this graph. Again, this graph represents your knowledge. And you go, right, I didn't know what I thought I knew. There's a lot that needs to go into this, okay? So then what happens is, because of implementation, you start to get some experience and you start to implement these things. So you go, oh, so that's how you do that. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Now I get this. Ah, I see what's going on here. Brilliant, that's how we do it. Ah, I'm getting results now. This is how this works. Perfect, okay? That, in a nutshell, is how what's known as the Dunning-Kruger effect happens, okay? People are so stuck here, assuming that they know everything because they have a degree or they watch some YouTube. Even if you didn't go to college or university, oh, I've watched some YouTube videos on this and I now have the knowledge, and you assume that you know everything, okay? But when you become essentially an expert in your field, you have to go down this part here first, go, crap, I didn't actually know everything. I thought I knew everything. And again, you have to have a lot of self-awareness to accept this part here. That's the only way that you can grow further, is to accept that, crap, I actually don't know everything. Maybe I should learn a bit more. Maybe I should actually learn specifically what I need to do. Oh, there's different sections to each of this part. Okay, I'm learning it all now. And then it goes back up here. And that's where you get the real knowledge from, okay? So that essentially is the Dunning-Kruger effect in regards to knowledge. And again, this is why a lot of people, even if they are a marketing manager, marketing executive, whatever it is, why they need to hire an external third-party agency, because, oh, they're at this stage here going, crap, actually, I don't know how to do this. I need some help, okay? So this is why, again, most agencies, this is why they get their work, okay? Because people they think they don't have time. They absolutely do, okay? And they think that they don't have the knowledge, which in most cases they probably don't if they're at this stage, but it can easily be learned, okay? And then when you do learn it, you own the system. That's the important part to understand. You own this. You are not at the mercy of an agency, okay? Because what happens is, if you don't learn that, or learn what you need to do, okay? Or learn how to implement everything that you need to do, be it inbound ads, outbound, whatever it might be, okay? What happens is, you stay at that part, because an agency is doing the work in the background here, okay? So you stay there. At some point in time, that agency relationship will fail. Either because you or the C-suites above you say, we're not getting the results that we want, let's stop paying these guys. So you're back here now, okay? The other way that this can fail is because the agency says, we don't want to work with you anymore, we're ending the relationship. For whatever reason, that can happen as well, okay? Then you're back here, okay? So the only way to escape that, because that's going to happen again and again and again, because again, we've heard from so many people, and we know the statistics are that around 80% of people, they've been burned by an agency in the past, and for various different reasons, but that leaves most people stuck here, okay? We don't want to be there, okay? So take the time to actually have some self-awareness and go, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have all the expertise that the agencies do, but I could learn it. Oh, that's how we do this. Ah, now I understand why that was working for them. Ah, now we have a better way of doing this. And this is where you get up here, okay? So that's the only way. And this is, by the way, this is absolutely 100% the best outcome for not only you, because you upscale. Doesn't matter where you work at some point in the future, you have the skills. So you can save that company on expensive agency fees or whatever it may be, okay? But also, internally, the company, you've built your own systems here that work much better than any agency, okay? and you're not relying on an agency. So you own everything here, okay? So that essentially is the Dunning-Kruger effect in a nutshell, okay? I would recommend that you look up the Dunning-Kruger effect online as well. It's actually very interesting. And again, if it makes you a bit self-aware to go, oh, I suffer from that, that's okay. That's the first place that you need to be, is to go, that's me. That says a lot. Look, I've been there, 100% I've been there. I used to do SEO for a company for 6 years. Again, because I've been doing it for 6 years, I thought, I know everything that I can do about SEO. And then I went to work for an agency, and I started working on other industries. And within that agency, not just in the industry that I was in, and then it became became apparent all of a sudden of, I actually don't know everything. Look, I've been doing it 20 years now. It's every day is a learning day, okay? But again, I've got the self-awareness to go, I didn't know everything, but this is what I can do, and this is how I can help different industries as well, okay? So then we move on to the last one then, which is expertise. And this is a big fear one for a lot of people, okay? Now look, a lot of this is actually fear-based, but this is by far one of the biggest ones, because people, again, even if they've been working in that organization, they have their degree, they've done their 4 years in college, university, whatever it is, they have their degree, they've been working for that particular company now for 5 years, let's say, they still don't have the expertise. The reason they don't have the expertise, either to do outbound ads, inbound, whatever it might be, is because their time is constantly being sucked up from different things, okay? Because their time is being sucked up, they can't actually not practice what they preach, but they can't implement what they want to. And therefore, because things change all the time, their knowledge is kind of dripping away. And then they don't have the expertise because they haven't implemented anything, okay? So because they haven't implemented it, there's that fear of, well, I actually don't know what I'm doing. And if I don't know what I'm doing and I try to implement something and it doesn't go well, that's on me. I'll get fired. I'll lose my job. I'll lose my money. I won't be able to pay my mortgage. I'll be homeless. Again, subconsciously, that is where humans are going. Fear is absolutely going to control this, okay? Because again, most people that are in jobs, either in marketing, or it doesn't actually matter what the position is. It could be finance, it could be sales, it could be IT, it doesn't matter, okay? Most people do not want to push the boat and try something new, because if it goes wrong, it's on them. And then therefore, there's this assumption, I'll get fired, okay? But this is the only way that you'll be able to actually scale the company the way the company wants you to help them, okay? So in regards to expertise, that's the only way that you can actually do this, okay? Now look, you can skip a lot of this by just emulating somebody else who's done a lot of this. Look, if you want a bit of advice on how you can skip a lot of this as well, and how you can save yourself a lot of time too with automation and everything like that, you can check out the first link in the description. But that's why a lot of people will not actually do what is actually needed to get to the goals or KPIs that they want to get to, okay? Because most people are happy to just do the bare minimum to get by. And look, you could be watching this going, yeah, that's me. He's actually talking specifically about me. And for the vast majority of you watching this, I'm right, because again, that is the majority of people are in this, okay? It doesn't matter if you're marketing, doesn't matter if you're HR, doesn't matter if you're IT, sales, doesn't matter, okay? Most people, especially in this day and age, will do the absolute bare minimum in their jobs, just enough to get by so that they can keep their jobs, okay? Nobody, and not nobody, but a very small percentage of people want to actually push the boat to try something new, to do something better, so that they can, at some point in the future, scale, okay, and get their targets above where they even with targets, okay? So let's say that you are KPI to get 30 new leads a month, okay, one a day. It doesn't matter whether it's from inbound, outbound, whatever, okay? But you're KPI to get 30 new leads a month, okay? You might get 29, okay? And then all of a sudden, okay, we're fine. Yeah, I didn't hit target, but look, it was just one behind, we're fine, okay? No one's gonna yell at me. And that's basically where this safety net comes in, okay? If you get 31, you go, brilliant, I exceeded targets. Most of us don't want to push that and go, how could I get 60? And one of the reasons that a lot of us don't want to is because we have a fear of going from 30 to 60, because then there's the assumption from, let's say, but my manager will expect that every month then that I'll get 60. And if I don't, and I only get 31, like we went from 60 to 31, that's a terrible decline. This is awful. That's my fault. I'll lose my job. Again, there's so much psychological stuff that's happening here, okay? But the only way that you will upskill and help the company to grow realistically is by carving out the time that you need, even just an hour a day, okay? to learn the things that you need to learn to gain that knowledge so that you can implement those strategies, those tactics, whatever it may be, and have the expertise in running those campaigns. Again, whether it is inbound, outbound, whatever it is, okay? So this is something you probably do not want to hear, okay? And if you're still watching at this point in the video, I applaud you, okay? Because again, this was probably very painful for you to hear. But again, I'm painful because I'm literally putting a mirror up saying, like, you're avoiding being better at what you can do by staying behind the safety net of all these things, okay? The only way that you will grow and upscale, and look, if you want a promotion, if you want to earn more, if you can earn more by doing this for another company, realistically, they'll only want you if you have in this day and age now, because again, you've left college, you're a little bit older, so you need to have these expertise, okay? Now look, you can put on your CV that, yeah, we did this and that at this particular company, okay? But if you're at another interview, okay, or even if you're interviewing to get a promotion internally in the company you already work for, the people who are interviewing you need to see your passion and the truth of the expertise that come out, okay? Because it's one thing for you to sit in there and go, oh yeah, well, we ran a campaign that did this, but if you were behind all this and you did that, okay, you have serious power in either interviewing for another job internally or externally or whatever it might be, okay? This is the only way that you can upscale and get better at what you're doing, okay? Stop hiding behind the safety net and going, oh, but I can keep my job here and I won't get fired. Do something better, okay? You know you can do something better. You absolutely 100% can. You know that you can. If you say, oh, but I don't have the time, you know that you can find the time to do that, okay? If you go, oh, but I don't have the knowledge, that's where this comes into play. This is how you learn, okay? Now again, comes into what everybody wants this overnight. Everybody wants to take a pill and they have all the knowledge to run all these campaigns and they have all these expertise immediately, okay? Let's be realistic about it as well. So take the time so that you can learn how to do these things and implement what you need to implement, okay? So look, as I said, that was probably a little bit of a painful video to watch because I've held up a bit of a mirror to a lot of you watching this. But if it is the case that you do want a bit of a hand with this sort of stuff, so you can speed up the process and you can get the results that you want even faster, you can check out the first link in the description. Other than that, hopefully you got some value from this and I didn't scare you too much. Enjoy the rest of your day.